Deadlock is an interesting amalgamation of third-person shooter with the overarching gameplay mechanic of the MOBA genre. The usual concepts of laning, farming experience and money, building your character with items, team fighting, and base pushing are pretty much the standard affairs of the genre, and they're very much apparent in Deadlock. So what exactly makes it different from the others that have tried to emulate the MOBA experience but with a third-person perspective? Well, it's actually the heavier emphasis on the third-person shooting and arena-style combat. While of course the game's overall emphasis is on the farming, leveling, and item buying as the primary system for you to have the advantage over the enemy team, it's the importance of aiming, shooting, and positioning that help you get that advantage, which actually shows in most of its systems, and here's a few standout examples. Rather than having an open area which is typical of traditional MOBA lanes, Deadlock uses cover. This allows players to carefully position themselves in lanes for both offensive and defensive tactics, which can lead to many different types of interactions from both the creeps as well as the players. It's almost like a tactical shooter, in the sense of taking cover and peeking around corners in order to find your targets. Coupled with the fact that you have abilities to boot, means you get more interesting and diverse combat interactions other than just your left-click shooting. To complement the laning phase, Deadlock also retains the MOBA mechanic of last hitting, which, if you're not familiar, means getting the last kill hit on an enemy creep in order to secure experience as well as gold. Denying means hitting your ally creep with the last kill hit in order to deny the enemy team both farm and experience. Deadlock uses a very similar mechanic, but in the form of souls, which arise when you last hit a creep and a floating orb rises from their body. You get a few souls when you last hit the creep itself, but in order to get the full amount, you also have to shoot the floating souls as well. The denying mechanic comes in the form of shooting your ally creeps' soul that was released by the enemy player, which also nets you gold on top of denying the enemy team their farm. What makes this very interesting is the fact that last hitting and denying souls essentially boils down to a game of twitch reaction and aim. If you can shoot either souls faster than your enemy, you basically get the better farm advantage. There's more layers to it as well, like how melee kills automatically secure souls, or the difference in weapon spread and rapid fire affect how well you can last hit. But the general gist of actually having good aim and shooting can lead to you having the advantage. While MOBAs are mainly tied to their often grounded space and design, Deadlock actually puts a greater emphasis on verticality. This can occur from different level platforms, roof and high ground positions, the sky rail that's used to move up and down lanes, character abilities and items that launch you into the sky, and the natural ability to double jump and even wall jump to get you in the air. It's the sense of verticality that, and this may sound very weird to hear, makes the shooting aspect honestly feel more like a classic arena shooter where vertical positioning is important. It puts more emphasis on your aiming since you now also have to consider the fact that targets can come from any 3D direction. Generally, items in MOBAs affect your character's ability to survive, damage, and use skills, affecting their attributes and how they should use them. Deadlock does employ a lot of items in the same way, but others are also dependent on factors based on shooting. For example, there's one item that will actually reduce the defensive capabilities of an enemy player if you land a headshot. There's also an item that will make your weapon grow stronger the longer you shoot with it, and an item that lets you actively reload like you do in Gears of War in order to reload and shoot faster. Not gonna lie though, as soon as I saw this as an actual competitive mechanic, the Gears of War in me giggled way too much. There's a laundry list of other items that I could talk about, but the fact that Deadlock implements the shooting aspect in the items as well makes it much more distinguishable as the type of MOBA shooter that it's going for. There's definitely more to discuss when it comes to other interesting aspects, and I'm sure most of you out there can point out even more than I've talked about. But in terms of its core design mechanics, it really does feel unique. It's an interesting amalgamation of shooter elements that's carefully layered over its MOBA system, and it's fascinating how it all works together. Speaking as someone who's enjoyed a number of different shooters over the past couple of years, as well as putting a casual amount of time into Dota 2, Deadlock feels like the most unique blend of what a MOBA shooter can be. It's still a MOBA game at heart, and players who come into the game thinking it's purely a shooter aren't going to have the best of time. But when you see how those shooter elements can actually lead into the game's MOBA DNA, it's a very interesting and uniquely fun game. But that's it for now, guys. Thanks for checking out my short little analysis on Deadlock. I absolutely love the game so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of its development. There will be more games to play and more videos coming soon, so please stay tuned if you'd like to see more. For now though, I'll see you all next time.